Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Nitro Talk here on Everything Nitro. Today, we're talking U.S. Nationals, Indy, and there's a lot of people who have won. There's a lot of people who have lost. But today, we're talking to one of the U.S. Nationals champs, 1999 champ, Frank Pedregon. What's going on, Frank?
How you doing there, Andrew?
Andrew Dice Clay, he likes to call me behind the scenes, but
I call you Andrew Dice Morales now.
Well, today we're here to talk about your 1999 victory. You're a 2001 Big Bud Shootout champ. You're a 2005 runner-up in Indy, so you're pretty familiar with Indy and all the history of it.
Yeah, our family is that's the big one. That's the one you want to win right there, and that's the one we gear up for mentally, physically, and you got to have the right team to do it. And with Del Worsham's team and Jim Dunn's team, I tell you what, who really got me focused on Indy right away. One of the reasons that I started driving Jim Dunn, hell, I would have driven for Annie Oakley if she would have given me an opportunity. But Jim Dunn, I guess he saw some talent in me. I was driving for In-N-Out Burger at the time, and he always said, man, the race we want to win, Frank, the reason I'm hiring you is because we want to win Indy. That's my race. Jim Dunn won the race, and I think Kenji won the Bud Shootout. I don't think he ever won Indy, but Jim Dunn has been focused on Indy always focused on Indy, and that's the race that he specifically told me, hey man, that's the one we want to win. And I'm like, I'm here, Jim, no problem, I'm here for the ride. Let's go.
And you get the call from Jim Dunn. I know that was kind of a crazy situation. And you drive for Penthouse Magazine, of all things, of all time. I mean, that's one of the most talked about rides, sponsorships, you as a driver, has there ever been in Nitro racing. So how did that all kind of take place leading into the Indy race? And what was it like for you to get that call?
Well, I'll back up a little bit. It actually all started with Jim Dunn and the Johnny Lightning car. He had Kenji driving for him the year we were talking about it. It was gearing up toward the last few months of 1997. And him and Diane Dunn used to come by in their little Kia, that little car. I don't even know what it was, but he used to come by, wave to me. I always waved, and I always talked to him. And I had heard that, I don't know, maybe he asked about me, but he kind of kept coming by, and I said, shoot, I'd be honored to drive for him. And I actually told him a couple of times, and he goes, hey, well, let's talk toward the end of the year. And sure enough, at the end of In-N-Out Burger wanted me to drive another year for them. The dragster, Gary Darian, was gracious enough to give me that opportunity, and In-N-Out wanted to go another year. I thought to myself, wait a minute, let me see, A-Fuel dragster, alcohol federal mogul class, or a nitro car for Jim Dunn. I said, shoot, that's a no-brainer there. So I said to Jim, Jim, you want me to do it? I'll do it. And sure enough, we drove the next year. I got my license, my crossover from the Brunei's Kenji machine. We did it at Arizona on the off season, or in January, the warm-up race. We got my crossover license. Never forget, I ran a 5:27. My brother Cruz signed my license, and Ron Cap signed it. There was a few other guys I can't think of right now, but I had a few of them sign off my license at Arizona, and next thing you know, we're running Pomona with the Johnny Lightning car. So that's how it all started. We ran the first 10 races, and we're building momentum. That was my rookie year driving for Jim in '98. And then all of a sudden, we win. Not all of a sudden, we were working into it. Jim was always running good. That car was always solid. And I had to drive the damn car. A couple of times it was driving me, and that's why having a great guy like Jim Dunn, a great driver like him, to straighten me out. And the two cuss words, he says, hey man, you drive this thing or else you're going to be out picking up cans on the street. So anyway, Jim's tutelage and teaching me what to do and yelling at me a few times, there were a few cuss words here and there. I was starting to drive the car good, and the next thing you know, we get to the hot season, and that's Jim Dunn's specialty. Everybody's trying to overpower the car, and Jim would just slip that car down the track, and we'd start running good. So we won our first race. I believe it was Columbus, Ohio, and then actually I got fired in the winner's circle for taking a picture with a gal because I forgot. Jim said no beer and no women, and I said, oh Jim, what the hell are we doing? This is what we're racing for, beer and women, isn't it? But anyway, he fired me for taking a picture with a gal. I ended up dating after that. But anyway, he fired me in the winner's circle. He hired me back about a couple hours later. And then we went to the next race, which was Illinois. It was only 2 or 3 years old, that track. And we won that race. We beat Chuck Etchells. First race, we beat Gene Scoos in the final round. Next race, we beat Chuck Etchells in the final round. Won 2 in a row. We couldn't be higher. We were higher than a kite. And then he calls me up a few days later and says, kid, I got to park the car. And I'm like, what? Jim, we just won 2 races in a row, man. My rookie year. And he's like, no, I don't have the funding to do it. And we had to park the car. So I'm out scrounging for a ride. And Bill Blumgren and Elena were gracious enough to let me drive that Team Geronimo car. And I wanted to go to Indy with Jim Dunn for my first year, but we didn't get to that point. So we drive the Geronimo car, and Tim Flynn, I believe that's his name, Flynn. No, not Tim Flynn. Tim, I apologize to him. I can't remember his damn name. He's somebody's brother-in-law, but anyway, his name is Tim. And he was my crew chief. Poor guy, he's probably cussing me out right now, but I can't think of his damn name. Tim Farrell.
Tim Farrell, gotcha.
I lost a few brain cells over the years, tire shake and midget race accidents. But anyway, but Tim Farrell, great guy, long-haired guy, worked for Coletta for a lot of years. I go to my first Indy with Team Geronimo. There was 5 qualifying attempts there. I'll never forget it. We went into the last qualifying attempt, not in, and we go out there and run a 5:07 or something like that. We qualified. Amazing. We knocked out Jim Epler that day. I'll never forget that either. And so qualifying for my first Indy was amazing. I was blessed. We were happy. We lost to Tom Hoover first round. But anyway, we ran a couple more races, and we were kind of gearing up. And I talked to Geronimo, and I was hoping, hey, man, we need to get money in here so this car can run better and more consistent. And I went to the warm-up races at the end of, or the beginning of 99. I showed up there, and Jim Dunn had his penthouse car, and they had another guy in the car, and the guy couldn't get the job done. He couldn't drive the car. He said something was wrong with his eye or something's wrong. I think something was wrong with his something else, man. But his cars are, and I showed up there with my suit, and John Dunn and Jim Dunn walked up to me and says, hey, kid, what about driving this car again? And I'm like, he goes, you committed to somebody? And I thought to myself, the hell with him, somebody else's. I'm going to drive this car, Jim. You better believe it. So I had to give up the Geronimo seat, and I drove the penthouse car. And I made a couple of warm-up runs at Phoenix in the penthouse car. And we went to, but I told Jim one thing, Jim. I'm rambling on, but I'm going to keep going, brother.
There you go.
I'm not even going to take a breath. But anyway, I committed to drive the Geronimo car, and I committed to Jerry Darian to drive the In-N-Out Burger car, the A-Fuel car. Melanie Troxel was in the other. He had 2 cars at that event, and he says, hey, I want you to run the first 2 races. And I'm like, sure. So I told Jim Dunn, I go, hey, Jim, I'm committed to drive the In-N-Out Burger car. So do you mind if I drive both cars? It's going to be a pain in the rear, but let's do it. And Jim's like, you know what? That's a commitment. Yeah, I want you to drive the penthouse car. Yeah. Go ahead and do it. So I drove 2 cars, which is quite a feat, man. I admire and I respect Pat Austin and guys that drive 2 cars at the same event, man. That's not easy to do, but we did it. I actually qualified good with both cars. The penthouse car, I think we're in the middle of the field, and then the In-N-Out Burger A-Fuel car, we're in the middle of the field, and I won first round in it.
Yep.
Ran over to the funny car, won first round in the penthouse car. So I'm in the second round of both cars. And we broke the rear end in the In-N-Out Burger car. That would have been a good run. We were doing pretty good, and then we smoked the tires. I think against Scotty Cannon in the Oakley car.
Yep.
At Pomona. But anyway, we went on, and I quit. I was supposed to race the A-Fuel car at Arizona, and I just told Jerry Darian, I go, hey, look, man, this fuel car and the sponsorship and the penthouse and all the things that are going on, I better just focus on driving. And I thought, shit, Jim Dunn, I don't need him pissed at me. So I thought I better just go and do my job and just stick with the one car. And then we kind of kept going, and we were solid every event. And Jim kept in the back of my mind, we're creeping up to Indy. He's like, man, that's the race, kid. That's the race we're going to do. And we had a really good chance to win some races in the penthouse car. And I haven't letting you get up for any air, but I'm going to keep going, bro.
No, keep going. This is good. This is Frank Pedregon uncut.
Hey, man. uncut version. And I got divorced even that year in the Penthouse days. I had a girl tell me, "Hey man, it's either the Penthouse or me," and I said, "Shit, see you later." So I didn't miss a beat, man. I got rid of a couple of cats, a dog, an ex-wife, and I kept on driving that year. It was great. Drag racing is it wasn't about family at the time. It was about drag racing. I wanted to do this for a living since we were kids, and damn it, nobody's going to keep me from doing it, especially driving the Penthouse car for Jim Dunn. So I kept going. So I get back from one race, and I didn't skip a beat. All my stuff was cleared out of my freaking house. So yeah, that was gone. She only left me with one cat and a damn cat box that was full, and I had to refurnish the damn house. And I kept going, went to the next race after that, and we're working our way up to Indy. And we get to Indy, and focus. Jim literally has the best stuff money can buy. Even today, he's got the best stuff money can buy. He's always had great equipment. But he always had a new set of heads. I go, "Hey, Jim, why don't we run that new set over there?" I'm always into the shiny shit. He goes, "Oh, no, we're saving that for special occasion." Well, little did I know, I'll tell you what that special occasion was here in a little bit. But we end up getting to Indy, and we're solid. We qualify really good. And Jim only likes to run. There was 5 qualifiers runs there. He likes to run the first 2 and then maybe one the next one. He doesn't like to run a lot of races, for conservative reasons. And why waste a run if we're running solid? What the hell, park the damn car. So we only ran 3 qualifiers at Indy, and they gave you 5. So we're down to the last one, and we're sitting in the car service, set of heads on it. We're bolted down, but they were on the car, ready to go. And then we find out who we race. Well, Jim's got a thing for racing John Force. He really gets up for John Force. I get up for racing my brothers. Jim Dunn gets up for racing John Force. And the minute he heard, I'm thinking, all right, we're going to go to bed early tonight and get ready for Indy. We're going to go have a nice steak dinner and relax. So everything's parked in the trailer. And then the minute he heard, okay, first round, Frank Pedregon against John Force, Jim's like, "Well, pull that car out." He's pulling out. I'm thinking, "Oh, man, what for, Jim?" And he's like, "We're putting a new set of heads, new blower." He put everything new on that car. Granted, everything we had on the car was pretty damn good, but he literally pulled out the good stuff. And it's like, now you know, kid, what those set of heads are for. That's what you got right over there. And I'm thinking, And
he mentions that. He mentions that today. Even for Force, he'll put on those parts. He'll spend a little extra dough. When it comes to eliminations, he'll do it.
He'll do whatever it takes. He just always tells me, "Kid," he doesn't like to put a lot of pressure on me, but he's like, "Kid, get your head screwed on straight, focus." And that's all I got to tell you right now. Or else either an ass kicking or I'm going to be walking. But anyway, we were focused. We put all the new heads on. We stayed a little late there that night, and he's like, "Man, we're ready."
And that hard work paid off.
Oh, the next day first round we raced John Force. Boom, put him on the trailer. And then right at that point, I was nervouser than hell, but I was focused. I thought, forget nerves. I want to win this race too. I want to win this for Jim. I want to win this for the guys, everybody on the crew. We want to win this. And I think at that point, I'm trying to think. I think we runner-up at a race already ahead of time. I can't remember, but we were on the verge of winning a couple of 2-3 races. Oh, I know what it was. We were runner-up at Sonoma, and then we went back to Indy.
That's right. I'm not mistaken. I remember that. Yep.
Yeah, we runner-up to Whit Bazemore. Final round, we kind of should have won that race, but somebody hooked up one of the lines wrong, and we smoked the car right at the hit. But hey, neither here nor there. But anyway, we go to Indy, and we keep going rounds, and in between rounds, Jim would say something. I'm nervous. I'm there in my suit, and I'm sitting in the van, and we're driving staging like second round. He didn't say anything the first round. He always said, "Kid, you know what to do." And I'm like, "Yeah." I didn't say like, "Yeah." I'm shitting bricks back there, and I'm like, "Yeah, okay." And I'll never forget one thing he said. Second round, I don't know who we raced, and I didn't care.
Yeah, Tommy Johnson Jr. taking over for Cruz at the time, 1999 Joe Gibbs.
Well, then, I don't even know. I haven't seen the tape from that race since then. Since that win, I don't believe in going back too much because any ex-drag racer like me, I'm still a drag racer. I mean, it wasn't for me breaking my leg in a car accident 2 years ago. Matter of fact, I'm still rehabbing here. We'd have still been running, but we're going to run again. We're going to run soon. But that's another story for another day. Right now we're talking about Indy. So anyway, so the semifinals, he says something to me. He said just before, and I don't even know who we're racing there, and I don't even care. But I think we raced
Scotty Cannon in the semis.
Scotty Cannon, and the crew chief for that car was Dale Pulte. And Jim said something under his breath. He goes, "Oh, we're gonna beat that prick right there." You know, we really don't like anybody when we're drag racing. Now, Jim, I heard him say, "I'm gonna beat that prick right there," and I kind of giggled at myself. And then we won that. It was a close race there. I remember that one. Then
it was a very
round,
close race. You had a 501 and you beat Scotty to a 503 and you got him off the line. That was a race.
Yeah, and then the final round, this is what really blew my mind. We're driving to the stage lanes, final rounds, and he's like, "Kid, he always says this, kid, we're here. We might as well win this damn thing. We might as well win. We're here." And on the way up to the staging lanes, he said something that blows me. It makes me laugh today. He looks over, he goes, "Hey, kid," and I'm like, "Yeah." And I almost was crying, like, "Yeah." I'm a little nervous. I'm like, "Yeah, Jim." And he goes, "Who we racing anyway?" Well, that's a mind boggler. Who we racing anyway? Jim has got some great mind. They're not even mind tricks. He's like, "Man, who we racing? I don't care. Who cares?" Like, he's asking me. I go, "Jim, you know what? I don't even know who we're racing." And you know what, Jim? I don't care. Yeah, let's. Basically, his point is, who the hell cares? Go do what you got to do here, and let's win this sucker, and let's go home. And I'll be damned if I just didn't. We just focused in on that, and we won it, man. We won Indy. It was great. At the other end, I was excited, and then they let me do something they never do. At the other end, they handed me the trophy, and then John Dunn says, "Hey, Frankie, why don't you get on the hood?" I'm like, "Get on the hood, the front part of the hood injector. Put the trophy on the injector and wave to these fans." And I wish I could find that picture somewhere of me on the hood with the Wally on the injector. I'm waving to the fans, man. What a great thing! All the way on the back in the return road, we're waving to the crowd. I'm on the hood of this car, and I get to Jim.
Wow.
Jim isn't very overly, hug me, BS. No, hug me my ass, he says. We barely shake hands. He's like, you know what? It's almost like he expects it, and I love that about Jim Dunn. Yeah, do your job, shut the hell up, and there's no need in hugging and all that stuff. I think I hugged Jim one time, and that's another story for another day, the time I hugged him. And we were both tearing up, and that's another story for another day, why we were tearing up. But that was, he said, "All right, kid, yeah, hey, we did it. Now let's enjoy this for a little while." And, of course, he let us drink a little something then, but Jim was no drinking, no smoking, and no women. And I said, "Damn, Jim, you're taking fun away from racing, man. What the hell?" Anyway, that was a great win. And then we went on to have a good year. It was up and down the rest of the year, but we had a really good year. And then getting toward the end of the year, he asked me, like, "Are you going to do this again next year?" I said, "Jim, if Penthouse is still here, I'm here. And if not, then, we'll figure it out." Well, I ended up going with Dell after that because I found out Penthouse wasn't going. And that's another story for another day, too. But winning Indy with Jim Dunn in '99 was really big for Jim, big for me. And I couldn't have done it without them, and they couldn't have done it without me either. But
absolutely,
absolutely, it was good all the way around.
You two were a pack punch of a team.
Fire away with some questions, man. But yeah, him and I were a great team together, and everything worked out with us. We always had it. He knew what to expect of me, and he'd tell me, he's like, "Hey, expect this," or "Hey, look out for that," or "Hey, this or that," and then, he always said, "Hey," I'm going to squeeze in another story here real quick about.
Go ahead. We're good.
This was in the rookie year, man, when I drove the Johnny Lightning car. I was always seat of the pants kind of driver, and he always said, "Hey, if it does this or if it does that, shut the damn thing off. Don't be a hero." And he always told me at this one event, and I can't remember where the hell it was, he said, "Whatever you don't stop the throttle." Well, you can't tell my rear end, don't stop the throttle, because it's an instinct. I mean, it's like I always felt something, and then I'd stop the throttle and get down. And we ran really good. We went a 5:07 at some race. And he goes, "Hey, good job, kid." And I go, "Hey, Jim, bad news, man. I slapped the throttle." And he goes, he didn't say anything. He goes, "Oh, okay." He didn't say anything until he took the motor apart. holy hell, there was a garage sale in there, and it literally kicked the rod out. But I got off of it a little early, and I think I saved it from turning into an inferno. But he was pissed at me when I did that. He said, "God damn it!" He didn't yell at me when I told him, but he yells at me when he pulls heads off, and he goes, "God damn it!" I said, "Don't slap the throttle." I go, "Hey, Jim, you can't tell my rear end not to do that." I said, when you say that, I says, "So what did he make me do?" We had some body damage. And I show up the next day for eliminations. I'm all guidoed up like I am right now. Hair tonic in my hair, a little cologne on. I'm looking good. I'm ready to sign some autographs and drive the car for the day. And here's another thing he'll make you do. If he tells you to do something, not to do it. Anyway, he says, "Hey, kid, we had a little blower explosion there when you hit that throttle that second time. So I want you to get this grinder and clean that fiberglass, clean that body up." I'm like, you don't argue with Jim. I'm like, oh my God. And I'm all, like I said, I had fiberglass all over me all day long. He makes you get the mask on. And I had to get a blowgun, but I was itchy all day, needless to say. But you screw up, hit a cone or something, you're going to go out there and do the work and clean the damn thing. There ain't a lot of guys like Jim around anymore. And God bless him. You've got guys to clean up your mess, but he's a great teacher. And he taught me well. I had to go out there and clean that body off and do whatever it took, because I'm the one that blew it up. I hit a cone one time. He made me go out there and clean it up too when I was all cramped up. But he waited until the next day till I was all showered and cleaned up, and he made me do it then. But hey, that's just life lessons for you.
And he's had a lot of drivers. He's had a lot of drivers drive from him over his career. Al Hoffman, Tony Bartone, Jeff Horan, just to name a few. And you drove for him about 3 different stints of your career. He picked up the phone and called Frank Pedregon to drive his car.
Yeah. I messed that thing up one too many times when I went off and did other things. And I didn't leave him holding the bag, but, everybody has their arguments and their disagreements. And honestly, I should have hung out with Jim another year or two, but he was a good life lesson. But then I wouldn't have done the other things I did. I got a stint trying to do it on my own. And again, an ex-drag racer is always a drag racer. We're never done racing, and I'm not done by no means. There's a lot of guys still out there trying to. Hey, look at the great John Force, man. He's 70-something years old, and he's still out there proving it. We're all good. We can all still do it. Just got to find another way to get there. And the way I see to do it is just to get your own car, get your own team, and poor boy it, do whatever it takes to get out there, man. But that's what I plan on doing here soon, very soon.
And you've been a driver, team owner. You've won Indy like we talked about, and you've actually gotten to Indy final round on your own. You started a team back in 2005. I believe Mark Oswald was the first guy tuning the shots, right? Him, and then Brian Karate came along, and that car was flying from the get-go. You weren't at every race, but you were consistent. You showed up. You had great parts. You had a Dodge Stratus body, and you ended up getting Brian Karate. I don't know what time of year that was, but talk about that leading into your final round in Indy in 2005. As an owner.
Actually, I'll back up a little bit and go forward a little bit on that one. But I got another group of guys that wanted me to drive. We got a car together. We actually leased the car from Dale. We were going to buy the car from Dale. And Dale was really picky on who was the crew chief, but I talked him into Mark Oswald. I said, Dale, let's get Mark Oswald. And he's like, he thought about it a couple of, because he didn't really want anybody that he didn't hire into his side. And he let me get Mark Oswald. We paid Mark Oswald. Mark Oswald did a great job, and then he went on to do bigger and better things, Mark. Great guy, funny guy, an ex-driver too. That's why I like driving for guys like Jim Dunn, Dale Worsham, Mark Oswald. Anyway, then we went along that year with Mark, and then Mark went on to somebody else. But then I started the other thing. I got a car, and I started out with Scoots McGinty, I call him. I can't think of his damn name, Scoots. What the hell's his name, too, here? The guy that Pat Dakin's guy. Good guy, too. I'm really bad on names right now. Oh, Scott Graham, but they call him Scoots.
Scott Graham.
So I nicknamed him Scoots McGinty. But anyway, Scoots was a good guy. We went off the trailer, bought John Lawson stuff, and that car hauled ass. And I said, man, you get this thing right. And I learned a lot about a lot of things. And I should have paid more attention to the damn mechanic end of it. But that's why I hired these guys to do it. We had Scott Graham for a while, and then I can't think what happened. And then later on in the year, Scoots went on to do something else. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to hire this Brian Karate. I met Brian, obviously with Scusa, but he worked for Jim Dunn. He was like an advisor for about 6-7 races. And I said, man, that Brian, there's something about him. I know that guy can do the job. And then we hired a bunch of guys to work for us there. I mean, we got Ben Radcliffe. Hell, we even hired, forgive me when I say this, what's Ashley Force's husband's name? I love that guy.
Daniel Hood.
Daniel Hood was working with us because Karate knew him really well. And I always liked him. We hired Catfish. We hired Casey Suzuki. We hired a bunch of guys that were not journeymen, but guys that knew their stuff. Ben, like I said, Ben Radcliffe. We had Lisa Kubo working with us. And then but Brian was the chief. We went to, I kid you not, we went to 5 or 6 races, DNQ. We did not qualify. And Brian was losing. I'm not saying Brian was losing. He was losing a little bit of confidence. And I said, Brian, keep going, brother. What do they say when you're in a hole? Keep digging. And
that's right.
We went to a couple more races. And I said, Brian, let's go to Indy. And if we're not happy then we can all go our separate ways. But we went to a match race in Cordova. But we went to the Indy practice session, and the car, Brian was getting the handle with it, getting the hang of it, and starting to go good. Then we went to this match race, and it was like the quickest to run the final round, and I raced Tim Wilkerson in the final, and then we won that event, that little match race. Car was running good. We unload off of Indy, rest is history. Number 3 qualified. We went at 70. My quickest time at the time, 3:77 with the Toyo car, and that car was on rails at Indy, man. It was every run, but we didn't have, again, the budget to keep going. And each round, my brother Cruz was even helping us out. At the final round, we get to the final round race in Dell, and Brian Karate kept saying, dude, man, we have no blowers. We don't have time to strip this damn thing. I go, Brian, dude, all we can do is throw everything we got at it, and I'll try to full shot this guy best I can. That is Del Worsham in the end of the lane, though. And
that's right. Yeah.
We literally pieced together to get to that Indy race, and we ended up doing good. Get to the final round, and I literally was so mentally exhausted. And I left on Dale in the final round, which didn't mean much. It wasn't enough to make a difference, but the car dropped a hole just for about 1,000 feet, and it got me over to the right. And I think it was just enough for Dale to go around us. But Dale doubled up on us there. He won the shootout, and he won the race and the shootout. He got himself an extra, $100,000, I think, bonus, or $50,000. I can't remember what it was. But that was the beginning of the end for me there. Making it into the final round was a difference of about $50,000. I think I got a paltry $30,000, and I think I was in debt. It wasn't that bad. It was about $400,000 I was in debt. It's no big deal. But at that point, we could have got $150,000 and got out of some of that damn debt. But hell, the repo man was waiting for us outside that gate. Like, God damn. We would have. That was the thing. You know what? Fate intervenes, and if it ain't your time, and if it isn't meant to be. But I was really happy with that year. And we went on after Indy. We went on. We runner-up at
Houston.
No, Dallas. Wasn't it Dallas?
Okay, so you went to the finals in Dallas. That's right, Dallas. You went against John Force. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we had Brian Karate literally every other round. I think we only had 4 bullets, and we were down to the last bullet, and they're all in the ground lined up. And I told Brian what Jim Dunn used to tell me. I go, hey, Brian, we're here. We might as well win it. I didn't go too well with him, but Brian was the greatest guy I ever met. He's a great guy, great crew chief, good person. Well, I always made him laugh. He always made me laugh. And I used to tell him, I go, Brian, we may not have any money, dude, but we get a big laugh out of things, don't we? I may not be broke, but we know this, Brian. We're going up to that starting line with the same parts that other guy does. I mean, we may not have a nice hauler and a big parts bin, but everything we had on the car that Brian put together for me wasn't falling off. It wasn't blown up. It was good stuff. And we had Ken Binney heads. I mean, we had some good older stuff, but it worked. And we went the rest of the year. We went to every race we ran. We were a top 4 or 5 qualifier with that Toyo car. And then again, we did all we could. We did the best job we could. And at the end of the year, and the end was nearing, and Brian came up to me and says, like, dude, I want to work with you. If you got a deal, let's go. If not, Schumacher's knocking at my door, and I go, man, you better go take it, because I think this is it for me. And that was the beginning of the end. I think we want one more year. I remember that hole I said I was digging. I think it was real deep. I think we were way down in there. But anyway, hey man, that's okay. You got to fall down hard before you can get back up, man. That's just the way it is.
Absolutely.
I have no regrets. I love the. You learn. You know, you do it. I got a lot of more great stories, but that's another story for another episode.
And I love how you mentioned Brian Karate as the quiet assassin, you would call him at that time. That was his name. I hope it sticks today. I hope he's watching and that name comes back on Fox.
Oh, he's eating pizza, watching at his restaurant. He's watching. If he isn't watching, we'll make sure he watches it. But Brian and his wife and his family, great people. Mark Oswald too. Scoots McGinty, good dude, still out there racing now. I mean, you know, everybody. Jim Dunn's out there still racing, man. God bless him. Love him, Diane and John Dunn. Great people, man. Great people to drive for. And I wouldn't change it back for anything else. But hey, I got a lot more stories to tell about all this stuff, and we'll do it in another episode.
One more thing I want to touch on.
Yep.
You did this tribute funny car for the great Don Garlitz. His motorsports museum still going on to this day. They closed a little bit because of the pandemic. But you mentioned to me before, you know, the Don never drove a funny car. So that tribute that you did and that partnership was an awesome partnership. And we see guys like Steve Torrance recently. He did a tribute top fuel car to the Swamp Rat. And just talk a little bit about how that happened and what that meant to you to be able to drive a car with Big Daddy's face on it.
Well, he's the greatest drag race. If it wasn't for him, John Force, Cruz, all of us, none of us would be out here running. Don Garlitz was a true pioneer. He was the bad hombre of the street. I actually always wanted to do that, but honestly, it wasn't my idea. It was a guy named Davenport's idea that said, hey, you should do some tribute cars. We did a tribute Hellfire car. We did a tribute Don Garlitz car. I think we did another tribute car, but I wanted to be king of the tribute cars just to pay homage to a lot of these guys. But Garlitz was the king, and I was happy to do that. It was somebody else's idea, but I was happy to do it, and I was happy to hang out with Don Garlitz for a couple of days. Matter of fact, it was a little embarrassing. Scoots McGinty didn't have the handle on this new system we had, and we forgot to charge one of the batteries in this system that Johnny West gave us. And I think we blew the body off that car, and we DNQ'd. And it was a bad. Actually, in between the rounds, one of the blow-ups, we were signing autographs with Don Garlitz, and I didn't think he cussed. And he looked over at me and goes, "Dude, what the hell's the matter with that car of yours?" And I said, "Big Daddy, I have no clue, brother. I just drive the damn thing." He goes, "Hell, you better get another damn fire suit, another helmet ready to go, because I think that son of a bitch is gonna blow next round." He's a great guy. He made me laugh. And anyway, the rest is history. But we did that tribute car, and it was great. And it was great meeting him and great hanging with him. And I was happy to say that we did that for Don.
Well, thank you so much, man, for taking your time. You're out enjoying the beach today. I know you're doing the trucking, you're selling, you're staying busy throughout the whole year-round pandemic, no pandemic. Everybody,
if you mask, baby, no mask out here. It's all good. It's all good in the hood.
But you're vaccinated up, and that's all that matters.
Yeah, and I'm Redondo Beach. Matter of fact, somebody was shot back here last week here. But hey, this is things happen out here. But this is Redondo Beach. This is where we were raised, and I love it out here. And I come out here to think. And right now, I'm out here just walking, but it's no sun right now, but it's a beautiful day. But anyway, thank you, Andrew Dice Morales, and I'll talk to you soon on another episode. We'll talk more stuff.
You got it. And everybody, if you want to follow Frank, you want to find out, he's tweeting, he's on Instagram. Follow him on Instagram at Frank Pedregon, and Twitter. Frank is active on there. He don't do Facebook, so don't think about Facebook. He's not on Facebook.
No Facebook. I don't tweet much, but I'm on my Instagram, and I'll get more active on it soon. As soon as I start doing something with this funny car that we have.